test. Ready? Guys ready?
Sure.
Simple. Okay? Simple test. Everybody knows ABCs?
Yeah.
Okay. A is for? Wrong. Wrong. Anxiety. B is for?
Bad breath.
Body odor.
Bored. C is for?
Concern.
Confused. D is for? Depression. Oh, that one everyone got it. Okay, you got the gist. These words have become our reality today. They're used much more often today than they were maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And the question is why? We have, if we look at our lives, we've bettered our lives, right? We've gone from using handmade tools to machinery. We've gone from living in the forest to living in houses. So we've bettered our lives physically, but mentally we've gone in the exact opposite direction. And in olden times, we would say when people got old, they got sick. But today, it doesn't matter what age you are. This is the truth of our world today. And you all sitting here, I'm sure you recognize that it's important to pay attention to your mental health. It's important to meditate. But let's be honest, what happens when we meditate? The mind races. You're sitting here, but you're halfway across the world. Or you're thinking about something that happened 10 years ago.
S for snore.
We fall asleep, we snore. Right? Am I right or wrong? That's what happens, right? So, if masters, saints, sages who've come before our time, if they've told us that meditation is the answer, then why is it so hard today? The truth is that we haven't learned to meditate. What are we trying to do in the process of meditation? What are you trying to do when you meditate? Still your mind. What else? Get to know yourself. If there's a little child playing with a really noisy toy, and you tell the child to stop making noise, is the child gonna listen? I'm speaking from experience, right? But why do we try to do the same thing with our mind? The mind is racing, we're trying to still the mind. We're trying to tell the mind, stop. Right? But if it doesn't work with a child, how is it going to work with our mind? But if you know the child, if you know how you can make the child stop, entice them with something else, you'll be able to stop that child very easily. So in order to be successful in our meditation, we first need to know how this mind functions. If we don't know how it functions, then we can't use any tools to try and help it focus and concentrate. So the mind engages with this outside world through our senses. How many senses do we have? 5. Does anyone know what those are?
Sound, hearing,
Yeah?
feel,
Yeah?
taste.
Yeah?
Got the other one.
Anyone want to help him?
Eyes.
Sight?
And smell.
Smell. I think Rashan deserves a round of applause. Let's look at all of these senses one by one. Okay? From the moment we open our eyes, we start receiving. You're constantly looking at something throughout the day. You're constantly receiving from whatever it is that you're looking at. And today, our reality has become this. We're constantly staring at the screens from morning to night. We close our eyes when? When we go to bed. So when we close our eyes to try and sit in meditation, we're already trained to close our eyes only when we go to sleep. That's what the mind knows. So when you close your eyes in meditation, what's going to happen? You are going to fall asleep. Hearing. How many wake up in the morning and turn on the radio first thing? And it's this background music that plays all day, or the TV is on all day, whether you're watching or not, but just background noise all day. Or I'm trying to study, but I need to listen to music. Oh yeah, I see some nods. We're constantly feeding the ears with something. And if it's not music or news, it's gossip. Did you hear what that one did? Did you hear what she said? Did you see what she wore to the party? We're constantly feeding our ears with something. So when you're sitting in meditation, what happens? Thinking about the gossip. Every little sound that you hear distracts your meditation. Next big one, taste. In olden times, maybe people passed away from being hungry. Today, we're getting sick from eating too much. Constantly. Who can eat a bland meal and not have any complaint? Rishan? Amazing. But we're going to complain. Oh, the salt is too less, or it's too much, or it's too spicy, or it doesn't have this, or it doesn't have that. We are so engaged in what this tongue is tasting. And how many seconds does this food last on your tongue? Maybe 5? But we talk about it all the time. You're going to complain about that food having less salt or too much salt or being too spicy for days. Or we're constantly talking. We feel like we need to say everything all the time. I know this. Because, Google's made it so easy. You can have knowledge about anything, right? Search it, you know it. So whether I have expertise or not, I'm still going to talk about it. And we're constantly expending this energy. So try to close the mouth and sit there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's too hard. Oh, I'm thirsty when I'm meditating. Oh, I'm hungry now when I'm meditating. Smell. We want the newest perfume, the newest cologne that's out there. We want to make sure we're smelling good. But how much toxins are going into our body through this nose? When the most important thing is this breath. But how often do you sit outside and breathe? How often do you even open your windows to let fresh air come in? We'll put machines in our houses that recirculates air, that brings air from outside. But you know what? All you need to do is go outside. Open a window and touch. Synthetic clothing, always being around people. Might not be physically touching, but you're constantly keeping yourself in company of people. When do you sit with yourself? When do you touch your own energies? Come in contact with your own energy. The eyes don't see, the ears don't hear, the tongue doesn't taste. The only time that happens is when the mind is engaged. When your mind is engaged and you're looking at something, that's when you're looking at something. Otherwise, a blind person can see too. When the mind is engaged and listening to something, that's when the ears are hearing and taking all of this in. So in order to get the mind to control itself, in order to get the mind to calm down, you first need to know what your senses are doing. Take a moment and think. You know yourself best. Take a moment and think, which sense of mine do I waste the most energy out of? Think about it, because I'm going to give you homework with it. So think. Pick one. I'm sure we wasted through all 5, but pick one that you know that you waste the most energy out of. If you want to better your meditation, start with the senses. If it's sight, if you spend your entire day on screens, for these 9 days, that's all I'm asking for. Half that time. If you spend 4 hours, spend only 2. And replace it with nature. Go sit by the window, sit outside, look at the trees, look at the sky, watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, whatever it is. Whatever that time you spend on screens, half it and spend it with nature. If it's hearing, if you're one of those that's constantly got something playing all day, half that time. And listen to the sounds of nature. Listen to the sound of the rain falling, the birds chirping, the leaves rustling. Replace that with sounds of nature. If it's taste, if food is your weakness, then for these 9 days, replace one meal of yours. One meal make it bland. Either do fruits, do veggies, or just make it bland. Don't put too many spices in it. Just simple salt, water, cook it, and you have it. One meal for 9 days. If it smells, I won't say don't use your perfume or don't use your deodorant. But spend some time breathing fresh air. Whether you're sitting outside, whether you open your window or sit by it, but spend some time consciously breathing in this fresh air. And if it's touch, try and wear simple clothing. And take out some time in these 9 days to sit with yourself. Listen to what's happening inside of you. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your breath. And if that is hard, then go walk barefoot outside. Dig your feet in the dirt. Hold the soil, hold stones, feel the earth. So start with whichever sense of yours is the weakest. Because in order to meditate, all these senses have to turn inwards. Just like that turtle that retracts its arms, legs, and head. All of these senses need to be retracted within for you to have a beautiful meditation. So start slow. Start with one sense. When you feel like you've worked on it, this is worked, then address the next one, next one, next one. Telling the mind to quiet, telling the mind to become still is not the solution. But engaging the mind in something that's more intriguing, that's more exciting, automatically the mind will be engaged. If you're watching your favorite TV show, even if you're hungry, you'll be like, yeah, one more episode, right? Because there's something more intriguing to the mind than filling your tummy. That is why Sri Ashutosh Maharaj says, meditation is not the closing of these eyes, but it starts with the awakening of that third eye. When this eye is awakened and you see the light of your soul within, automatically the mind is engaged. Automatically the mind is focused. But this light needs to be awakened for meditation to start. And to awaken this light is why gurus, masters, teachers come from time to time. Most of you here have received that technique that we call Brahm Gyan. But the benefit of that technique is if we connect to that light all the time. If you sit in meditation and look at that light, engage with that light. It is then that this mind that's scattered will control and retract itself automatically and focus on this light that sits within. Ravan had how many heads? How many arms? 2. That was a Simple question, not a trick one. But the goddess mother, this divine energy that we refer to as mother, if you look at her form, how many heads does she have? 1. How many arms? Numerous. 6, 8, 10, depending on which form. What happened with Ravan? He was destroyed. But the goddess mother is invoked every time a demon has gone out of control and created havoc. It is that divine energy that has been invoked to destroy this demon. Today within us there are numerous demons. And because she has one head, she is focused, concentrated, and knows exactly what she needs to do. All the hands work for her. But when you have multiple heads, then your mind is running in all different directions. Brahmagyan is the technique to transform yourself from this multi-headed demon to a one-headed goddess divine energy. This festival is called Navratri. Nav meaning night, Ra meaning solace, comfort, and Tri represents the 3 types of suffering: physical, mental, and suffering that comes from our previous karma. So these 9 nights is great science to all the festivals we celebrate. This time comes when the weather, when the seasons are changing. When the seasons are changing, the immunity within our bodies is very low. That is why people observe fasting during this time. They give their body light food to eat so that it's not working too much to digest this food, but instead it's using its energy to realign and balance, because now you're stepping into this winter season. So these 9 nights, because you're not eating too much, you're eating simple. On the physical aspect, it's immunity. But on the mental aspect, this is the time during which the mind runs too much, more than usual. The mind is extroverted and it's going to try and engage with the outside world. So they spend as much time as possible in meditation so that you can harness this energy of the mind, because it's on high energy, but using that energy of the mind to lift your Shakti, that divine energy that lies within you, to lift it upwards. So it's not just a festival where you fast, you light a candle for a diya for 9 days, but there is a science behind it. So if these 9 days, because we all know when we step into the winter season, what happens? The sun is not out too much. People end up with seasonal affective disorders, depression. Naturally, the mind starts to dip. But at the cusp of when this season is changing, the saints remind us to meditate and lift your energy up so that you can go through the winter season and still be uplifted. Still feel positive. Once Ramakrishna Paramahansa was walking with his disciples along the river shore, where a lot of fishermen were fishing. And he tells his disciples, look at this as they're fishing. What do you learn from it? What do you see? The disciples are looking, well, fishermen are fishing. These fish are dying. What is it that you're trying to tell us? He goes, no, think about it for a moment. What can you learn from this view? What do you see? They say the fisherman is throwing the net. There are fish that are getting caught in it. They're struggling. And then he pulls the net, and basically they all die. So he says, look carefully. When he throws this net, there are some fish that struggle for a few moments and then they give up. But there are some fish that struggle till the end. And they come out of the net as well. They free themselves from that net. And he says, look carefully. There are some fish that don't even get caught in the net. And when they look, they see that these fish that are struggling in the net, the ones that are not caught in the net, come to them, say something, and leave. And those fish also get freed. So what is the point of the story, right? This net is the illusion of this world, where we think that what we see with these eyes is real, is everything. This is it. And we get caught up in it. We think this we're going to be alive forever, we're going to be here forever, we're going to enjoy this life forever. But when something happens in our life that shakes us, some of us try to overcome this struggle, but give up. That's when we sink into the state of melancholy and leading to depression. But then there are those that have struggle after struggle after struggle. You look at their lives and nothing's easy. But they continue to make effort. They continue to work hard. They continue to try and lift themselves up. And if they end up finding that fish that doesn't even get caught in the net, that comes and whispers something in their ear, they free themselves from that net. That fish represents a saint, a sage, a guru, who comes to awaken us to the truth, who helps us understand that this body that you think is yours is not permanent. That this world that you've created around you, that you think of yours, is not permanent. But within you sits an entity that is permanent, which is the soul. And when Guru connects you to that soul, and you build a connection with that light that sits within you, then you awaken this Shakti within. With the Goddess Mother, you will always see a tiger, representing willpower. There is nothing that we can put our mind to and not attain. We have that much power. We worship in the form of this mother, but everything on the outside is a reflection of what's inside. The Goddess Mother represents Shakti, your power that sits within you. And if you awaken this energy and you put your will to something, I want this, you will attain it. Jesus Christ said you can ask the mountain to move and it will move. Such is the power of will. That is the power of the willpower you possess. You just have to learn to tap into it. There is no situation, there is no struggle in life that can break you down, that can sink your mind if you connect to that willpower that sits within you. There is nothing that can break you down. But the need is to connect to this willpower within. For those who have learned the technique already, who have Brahmgyan, sit with this light on a daily basis. Make a conscious effort. Don't be like that fish that struggles for a bit and gives up. But be like that fish that continues to struggle and eventually is freed. Sit and connect with this light. Find that light because it's within you. And the light is the source of your energy. So connect with that light. Let it uplift your mind, uplift your thoughts. Let it uplift your entire being. It sits within you. And for those who don't have Brahmgyan yet, come and experience this for yourself. Until this door is opened, until this eye is awakened, everything that you do in terms of trying to focus, concentrate, meditate is going to be temporary. But if you want to experience everlasting peace, if you want to find your strength, tap into your willpower, then come and receive this awakening and see for yourself. Experience for yourself. So for these 9 days, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start with one sense. We're going to work on retracting that one sense. Start there and spend time sitting with yourself, even if it's for 5 minutes at the end of the day. Just sit in stillness, embrace the silence. Listen to what's happening inside here. If you don't know what's happening inside the mind, you can't control the mind. It's not going to happen. So start with awareness first. Recognize everybody's mind is different. Everybody's mind works in a different way, functions in a different way. But recognize how your mind works. And then use the techniques that will help you retract your senses and engage your mind in that Shakti, that goddess, that divine mother, so that there is nothing that comes your way and breaks you down. On that note, we'll conclude today's discourse. Boliye Sadhguru Maharaj ki.